Emily's family rented an old colonial-style house on the outskirts of Asheville, tucked between dense woods and narrow mountain roads. The house looked charming during the day: white wooden walls, a slanted roof, and a detached garage built decades ago. But at night, it felt wrong. The walls creaked even when there was no wind, and the silence felt heavy, like the house was holding its breath. Locals casually mentioned that the house was historic, but no one ever explained what that really meant. Emily's father loved the isolation. Emily hated it. One cold evening, thick fog rolled down from the hills, swallowing the house in seconds. Visibility dropped so low that even the garage light looked blurry. Emily's father had gone into town, leaving Emily and her mother inside. The fog pressed against the windows like a living thing. That night, the mountains felt unusually quiet. No insects, no wind, no distant cars, just silence. Emily was in her room when she heard her father's voice calling her name from outside. "Emily, come here." It sounded normal, familiar, calm. She stood up immediately, confused. Her father wasn't supposed to be home yet. The voice came again, clearer this time, drifting from the direction of the garage. Something about it felt slightly off, not loud enough, not emotional enough, like a recording played at the wrong speed. Emily slowly stepped into the hallway. The house felt colder. As she reached the back door, she saw the garage light flickering through the fog. Her father's voice came again, this time word for word identical to how he normally spoke. Same tone, same pauses. "Emily, hurry!" Her heart started pounding. Parents don't call their children like that in fog. Not calmly, not repeatedly. Emily froze at the door. Every instinct screamed not to go outside. The fog was so thick she couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. The garage stood like a dark mouth waiting to swallow her. Then the voice changed, subtly, still her father's voice, but slightly closer. "Why aren't you coming?" That's when fear turned into terror. Before Emily could move, her mother grabbed her arm from behind. Her face was pale. "Don't answer," she whispered. Emily realized something horrifying. Her father was still in town. He hadn't called. He hadn't come back. And yet his voice continued outside. The voice repeated phrases Emily had heard her father say hundreds of times before. Childhood memories, private sentences, things only family would know. The fog thickened, and footsteps could be heard circling the garage, but no shadow ever appeared. It was like whatever was outside didn't want to be seen, only heard. Her mother began reciting prayers under her breath, voice shaking. The moment she did, the calling stopped abruptly. The fog remained, but the presence vanished, as if offended. No footsteps, no voice, just silence. Emily didn't sleep that night. Neither did her mother. When her father returned hours later, he swore he never called them. The garage showed no footprints, no signs of anyone standing there. Locals later told them that the house had a history of voices calling people outside. No one ever followed them and survived unchanged. Even now, at 30, Emily never responds when someone calls her name from another room unless she sees them. And on foggy nights, she keeps doors locked, because she learned one terrifying truth: if something sounds exactly like a human, it usually isn't. It started as a last-minute escape. Sarah and her fiancé, Ryan Brooks, wanted one quiet night away from the city. No phones, no noise, just mountains and trees. Pisgah National Forest felt perfect. Locals warned them not to camp too deep into the forest, but warnings sound dramatic when daylight is still strong. They packed a small tent, food, and a flashlight, reaching the campsite just before sunset. The forest looked peaceful. Tall trees, soft wind, distant birds. too peaceful. As night fell, the forest changed. Sounds grew sharper, closer. The darkness between the trees felt thick, layered, as if something was hiding just beyond visibility. Ryan tried to lighten the mood, joking about horror movies. Sarah laughed, but her body didn't relax. She kept feeling like someone was standing behind the tent, close enough to breathe. But every time she looked, there was nothing, just trees. Endless trees. Around midnight, headlights cut through the darkness. A tow truck rolled slowly toward the campsite, an odd sight that deep in the forest. The driver stepped out, a middle-aged man named Tom Harris, visibly shaken. He asked if they'd seen a young girl. "White dress," he said, "barefoot." Sarah's blood ran cold. She hadn't, but something about his fear felt real, too real. Tom said he'd seen the girl standing near a sharp forest bend. She waved him down like she needed help. When he slowed, she smiled, and suddenly appeared closer than she should have been. He swore she wasn't walking, she was sliding like the ground didn't matter. When Tom slammed the brakes, his truck stalled. The girl vanished the moment he whispered a prayer. Terrified, he drove straight to the nearest lights, the campsite. They invited Tom to sit near their fire. None of them wanted to be alone. The forest had gone silent. No insects, no wind. Then Sarah heard it. Footsteps. Slow, bare, circling the tent. A soft voice spoke from the darkness. "Can you help me?" It sounded like a child, polite, sad. Ryan stood up instinctively, but Tom grabbed his arm hard. "No," he whispered. "Don't answer." The voice repeated, closer now. "I'm lost." The fire flickered, and for a split second, Sarah saw her. A young girl in a torn white dress, her hair covering her face. Her feet hovered inches above the ground. When she lifted her head, her eyes were empty, completely black. Her mouth stretched into a smile far wider than humanly possible. Tom shouted a prayer aloud. The girl screamed, not like a child, but like something ancient. The fire went out instantly. Darkness swallowed everything. When the flashlight came back on, Tom was on the ground, not breathing, his face frozen in terror. No wounds, no marks, just gone. Ryan grabbed Sarah and they ran. Branches cut their skin, roots grabbed at their feet. Behind them, laughter echoed, not loud but joyful, like the girl was playing. They reached their car and sped out without looking back. Days later, Sarah searched local records. She found an article from 2003. A young girl named Hannah Wells had gone missing near that same forest road. Last seen wearing a white dress. Body never found. Even now, Sarah refuses to camp. Ryan wakes up some nights hearing footsteps around their house, and sometimes, when Sarah is half asleep, she hears a soft voice near her ear. "Can you help me?" She never answers, because she knows some lost things don't want to be found. Alex was only 12 when the mountains of North Carolina still felt magical to him. His family lived in a quiet wooden house perched slightly above the Blue Ridge Parkway, a place where mist rolled in like breath and the forest never truly slept. From the yard, Alex could see the highway curve through the mountains, cars appearing briefly before vanishing behind bends and trees. The road was always there, alive, humming, watching. Locals said accidents happened often on that stretch, but Alex had never seen one himself. To him, the highway was just another part of the scenery, like the tall pines or the distant ridges fading into blue. That innocence wouldn't last long. That evening, the sky burned orange and purple as the sun dipped behind the mountains. Crickets began their nightly chorus, and the air felt heavy and still. Alex was alone in the yard, tossing pebbles and counting cars out of boredom. His parents were inside, busy with dinner, trusting the quiet mountains to keep their child safe. The shadows stretched longer than usual, and the forest seemed darker, deeper, almost expectant. Alex didn't know it then, but that moment, balanced between day and night, was when the mountains felt closest to the unseen. Alex's eyes caught something unusual. Someone standing across the highway. A young girl no older than him stood perfectly still near the trees. That alone felt wrong. There were no houses, no driveways, no reason for a child to be there. She wore a dirty, old-fashioned white dress, the kind Alex had only seen in old photographs or period movies. Her shoulder-length hair lifted slightly with the breeze, yet she didn't react to the cold or the noise of passing cars. She looked like she belonged to another time. The girl slowly turned her head and looked directly at Alex. Her eyes locked onto his with terrifying precision. Then she smiled, but it wasn't warm or friendly. It was empty, mechanical, like she was copying a human expression without understanding it. Alex felt his stomach tighten. His instincts screamed danger, though nothing had technically happened yet. That smile stayed frozen on her face, unblinking, unchanging, as if she had practiced it for years. Without breaking eye contact, the girl stepped onto the highway. Alex's heart slammed against his ribs. She walked calmly to the center of the road and stopped, standing exactly on the white dividing line. The sound of an engine echoed downhill. A massive, loaded truck was approaching fast, far too fast to stop on that slope. Alex screamed at the top of his lungs, waving his arms, his voice cracking with panic. The girl didn't move. She didn't even blink. The truck roared closer, its headlights flashing across the trees. Alex covered his eyes, but still saw it. The truck passed directly through the girl's body. No impact, no scream, no blood, just a sudden blast of freezing air that hit Alex like winter breath. The truck didn't slow down. No horn, no reaction. When Alex looked again, the girl was still standing there, perfectly intact, smiling wider than before. Alex's legs gave out. He collapsed onto the grass, shaking uncontrollably. His mind refused to accept what his eyes had seen. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't possible. Crying hysterically, he screamed for his mother, his voice echoing uselessly across the mountains. The forest felt closer now, pressing in. The highway hummed like it was alive, as if it had witnessed this before. When Alex's mother rushed outside, holding him tightly, the girl was gone. The road was empty. No footprints, no disturbed gravel, no sign that anyone had ever stood there. Her mother searched the roadside, confused and concerned, but found nothing. To her, it was just another quiet mountain evening. That night, Alex didn't sleep. He knew with terrifying certainty that the girl wasn't human. She wasn't lost, she wasn't alive. She was something tied to that stretch of road, something replaying a moment trapped in time. A spirit, a warning, or maybe a watcher. Now, 27, Alex still avoids that section of the Blue Ridge Parkway at night, and when he has no choice but to drive through it, he slows down without thinking. Sometimes in his peripheral vision, he feels a presence, watching, waiting, smiling.